2024 is here. Let's talk about it. I'm Chris Rett, certified financial planner here at Modern Wealth, and 2024 is here. So with that, there's a lot of things that we want to cover in terms of financial and wealth planning topics. So let's dive right in. So January, for the most part, is in the rearview mirror at this point, but here's a lot of things that we want to cover that happened in January. First off, starting January 1st, those that are receiving Social Security benefits got a nice pay raise at 3.2%. Along with Social Security cost of living increases came Medicare. The Medicare brackets changed slightly, so something to be aware of come tax planning for 2024. Also, tax brackets changed ever so slightly with inflation-adjusted tax brackets. Also, retirement plan contribution limits changed this year. So if it's something that it is set to automatic or you're doing it through an employer, because those have increased depending on the plan that you're contributing to, you may want to alter those monthly or weekly contribution amounts to fully maximize those if that's what you want to do in 2024. January can be also a great opportunity to plan personally within your life. So things that happen in 2023 can be a great way to pull out what your final expenses were for 2023, those that were anticipated, the likely suspects being our budgets from house, our mortgages, our insurances, our foods, things of that nature, but also things that were unexpected. Maybe a roof was leaking. Maybe foundation needed to be repaired. Maybe a car went out. Maybe there was an unexpected medical expense that we had to pay in 2023 that moving forward, we don't anticipate again in 2024, but something that you might want to start planning for in the next 3 or 5 years. You want to start planning for that now so that way when it does happen again, and it is unexpected, it won't hurt as much. So things that you can be thinking about in the month of January that applies for the entire year. Also, a great opportunity for January is an opportunity to review estate planning. Maybe you're looking after a relative, a loved one, a mom or dad, an aunt and uncle. January can be a great month to review estate planning for your family. We have an advisor here that sit down with his father-in-law for the last 15 or 20 years, and they go over everything so that if something happens to his father-in-law, the transition of all the financials aren't as bad. Is that the one thing we can see is a lot of times these are again unexpected, and you want to have that plan in place so that way the least thing that's on your mind is the financials, and the thing that you can be most focused on is spending time with family if something were to happen unexpectedly to a loved one. So January is a jam-packed month. I know that it's great for setting personal goals, but it's also a great month for setting financial goals. So we want to encourage all of our listeners to do that in the month of January. Something to focus on for the month of January, if it's already passed, something you do want to go back and visit, is January 16th was the last day to get your quarterly estimate in for 2023. And so why that's important is that if you did a Roth conversion at the end of the year, like a lot of our clients did, and we recommended, is that you want to get that quarterly estimate in to avoid any potential tax penalties when you go to file by April 15th. So looking at February, it's a lighter month, but still a lot of things that we can do. Starting with February 1st, you want to start gathering your tax documents together. I can tell you, having and working with CPAs during this time, their time is very, very valuable. And when you have it, you want to be taking full advantage of it. And so what I can tell you is if you're working with a CPA, and you should be working with a CPA to file your taxes, you want to make sure you have all your documents gathered. So a lot of financial firms will start to get those out end of January. You want to start collecting those as soon as February 1st. It's important to have a list. So as things change throughout the year, make sure you're kind of checking to say, hey, do I have all of these accounts when I go to file my taxes? Because that is very important for your CPA. Another thing to circle is Valentine's Day. So you want to build an expense into your budget for taking a loved one. And for our couples out there, we want you to enjoy a dinner with your loved ones. Even if you're single, it's a great opportunity to reach out to friends and family and get together. That you can never have enough excuses to spend time with loved ones. Moving ahead to March, it is National Credit Education Month. So we want to focus on credit here, because credit is something that has become a bit of a concern with Americans. I'm sure it's worldwide, but specifically here in America, as American credit card debt has ballooned to $1.08 trillion, up 40% in the last 2 years alone. So we know that our Americans are spending money with money that they're borrowing. And so we want to be conscious of that. Some things have been unavoidable. I know that the grocery stores have been up, inflation has been a factor. So that is going to be a contributing factor, but it is something that we want to be mindful of. And so we want to focus on big purchases and what we can do to account for those and plan for some of those big purchases in the month of March. Another thing that we want to focus on is tax filing on March 15th for our small business owners and our individual business owners. So March 21st is actually credit card reduction day. So let's say that you set plans for January. Hey, this is going to be my year. I'm going to spend less. I'm going to save more. And you've gotten to March 21st and that hasn't necessarily happened. That's okay. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's time to look at that. Okay, what have we purchased thus far in 2024? And is it something that we can get back on track? Just because, the first quarter wasn't friendly to you, maybe something unexpected happened. Again, we don't want to throw the year out. It's time to refocus, look at it. How are we going to get back to neutral and start saving and spending less with the rest of the year? April 1st is important because it is the deadline to take your required minimum distribution, your RMD, for last year. If you turned 73 in 2023 and you did not take your RMD, that's okay. You have until April 1st of 2024 to satisfy your RMD from 2023. Now, that's just 2023's RMD, and that's for your first one only. So if you turned 73 in 2023 and you did not satisfy your RMD, your required minimum distribution, that's okay. You have until April 1st of 2024 only. That's only the first year. Something to keep in mind is you still have to satisfy your RMD. It is a different number for 2024. Another important date in April is everybody's favorite day is April 15th. That's tax filing day. So you've collected your papers in February. Hopefully you sat down with your CPA and you're able to file taxes, but April 15th is the deadline to file taxes for 2023. Otherwise, you're going to have to look at filing an extension. So we've reached the month of May. If you can believe it or not, we're almost halfway through the year. And so when we look at the tax filings that we did in April, we've shored up everything from 2023. Hopefully, didn't file an extension, but if you did, that's okay. But May, we want to really start focusing on what we're going to utilize for the remainder of the year. So we want to start looking at and focusing on what are the tax brackets this year. We know that as of filming this is that current tax rates are set to expire at the beginning of 2026. So in May of 2024, we have really a little more than 18 months to fully utilize these current tax rates. And so we want to be extremely cognizant and mindful of what we're going to do this year, 2024, with the remainder of the year we have. So we want to focus on what the tax brackets are, what our big financial and tax plan is, and focus on that from May really till the end of 2024. So June, we're starting to hit the summer months. With summer comes a lot of vacationing. So we want to focus on some of the vacations that we've planned for, hopefully in January. But we want to look at is how do we build vacation and vacationing into our financial plans for not only this year, but potentially in future years as well. So June 17th is the quarterly estimates due. So it's a little bit different. Usually it goes in 3 months, is that is the only month that it isn't a full end of the quarter that the quarterly estimate is due. So be mindful to pay your second quarterly estimate on June 17th. We want to focus on insurance planning. Insurance is a key component of what we do here at Modern Wealth. It's one of our 4 pillars that we believe is important in a financial plan. So June 28th is National Insurance Awareness Day. Insurance is gotten really broad here in America, so it's really important to focus on that. We have health insurance, we have long-term care insurances, we have home and car and auto insurances, things to be looking at as we're building our financial plan. Life insurances as well. So you want to make sure you're covered in the event of a catastrophic event. So July here in America is really centered on independence. 4th of July, we celebrate our country's independence from the British rule. And so with that, we want to focus on financial independence. So July 1st is Financial Independence Day. And I think for us as planners, the gift that we want to always give our listeners and our clients is that the gift of financial independence or feeling that you're financially empowered and independent. So if it's something that you don't feel that you're doing or that you're not independent yet, make sure you reach out and get some help, because that is something that everybody here in America should strive for and achieve, is that feeling of financial independence. August, again, is a lighter month when it comes to financial planning. So August 14th, National Financial Awareness Day. Again, you're going to see a lot of this is somewhat repetitive, but that's because is that as life tends to get in the way, things come up. Financial planning tends to take the back burner from time to time, and that's okay. Sometimes there's fires that need to be put out at home. But the reason why we reiterate these things over and over and over again is it's an opportunity that if you've kind of got distracted or got off the beaten path, it's an opportunity to get back on. It's not too late to finish up the rest of the year strong. So September, it starts to pick up again. And so as a reminder to all of our listeners, at the end of September, we want to look at, with the remaining months that we have, what do we need to do with the last quarter, starting with September is the last 4 months really, is what do we need to do in order to shore up our financial planning for 2024. Starting with September 16th is the tax filing extension deadline for our small business owners or our individual business owners. So something you're definitely going to want to keep on your radar is that September 16th date. To wrap up September, you want to make sure to look at that final quarter task, and we'll put those up at the end of the video, as well as get a link to our calendar, and that'll be included in our calendar as well. So October, things start to pick up again. It's going to be a sprint to the end of the year. Football here in America is in full swing. Hopefully your local team is doing well. So October 2nd is going to kick us off with World Financial Planning Day. Again, it's never a bad excuse to get back and review your plan again for any changes. Is that, again, reoccurring theme, but it is so important to revisit that and make any necessary adjustments for the end of the year. October 15th is a very important day for a couple of reasons. The first thing is the Medicare open enrollment starts. So if you have Medicare benefits, it's something you do want to revisit those for any changes that need to be made. Or if you're starting Medicare, also an opportunity to reach out to somebody, get information, get assistance with that. October 15th is also the tax filing extension deadline for individuals. So if you didn't get it done in April, hopefully you weren't a procrastinator and waited till the end of or mid October to get those done. But it is something that for 2023, if you haven't gotten it done in April, October 15th is the final deadline to file your taxes for 2023. November. So November is a jam-packed month. Starts with ACA open enrollment starts November 1st. So if it's something that you are getting healthcare through the exchange or you're going private, it is something that it's an opportunity to revisit what your plan is, make it necessary adjustments for your plan, either up or down or stay the same, depending on what your coverage needs are. You want to review that starting November 1st because there is only a small window for that. So it is important to be mindful of the time that you have to do that. November 5th is an important day. It's an election day. Make sure you get to the polls and vote for your favorite candidate. November 11th is our Veterans Day. So make sure that you thank a veteran for all the freedoms that we have. If you know any veterans, take them out for breakfast, lunch, dinner, something, just to show an appreciation for the sacrifices they've made for the great freedoms that we have and we're able to enjoy. So this is going to be the last really opportunity that you're going to have personally to be able to wrap up any things you need to get done financially for 2024. Thanksgiving is November 28th. That's usually a good indicator of the start of the holidays, and life kind of gets in the way, whether you're shopping for gifts, however you're celebrating your holidays. The financials, and rightfully so, tend to take a backseat to all that you have going on. Really, you want to utilize November to get that final planning in for anything that you need to accomplish. So December is really, it's time to put a bow on the year. It's been an exciting year. Hopefully December, really it's putting the final touches on. So starting with December 7th is the open enrollment, then closes. So make sure you get that wrapped up in December, because as we know here in America, healthcare is very, very important. You don't want to just leave that as a last resort. December is an excellent opportunity to look at final Roth contributions, Roth conversions, and last but certainly not least, charitable donations, especially if you are somebody that is currently taking required minimum distributions or RMDs. QCDs can be a great way to satisfy your RMDs if you don't need that money. To remind you, qualified charitable distributions are not taxable. So it's a great way to take the money out, satisfy your RMD, not get taxed. And certainly the most important thing is that it will go to a charity or nonprofit of your choice. So that is a great opportunity to utilize that tool and that strategy. Again, it's only available for 2024. So December 31st is the deadline for that. So as we promised, here is a list of the final quarter and annual tasks that we want to highlight for you. A couple things to note at this point is that you've gotten through the year. You want to make note of major changes. So is it something that you bought and sold with something that had a high gain or a high loss? Maybe it was land, maybe it was a second home, vacation home, maybe it was some stocks that did really well, maybe it was some stocks that didn't do really well and that you're able to write off some of the losses on. So you want to be mindful of some of these. Again, paying attention to beneficiaries, having your estate planning in order, looking at tax planning for 2024. Again, just to remind you, is we have one at this point at the end of 2024, we have 1 year under the current tax code that does expire at the end of 2025. So it is important to look at these. Again, everybody's financial plan is going to be unique, and we fully understand that. So here's a list of quarterly and annual items that you want to keep in mind for and factor them in however it's best useful for you. Certainly we have a template and a guideline here that doesn't always work for everybody. So if you're one that likes to attack the month of January and get it done for the rest of the year, that's great. If you're a procrastinator, you wait till the end of the year, here's things you want to shore up by the end of the year, that's okay. If you're somebody that likes to take the bite out of the elephant one bite at a time, here's something that you can sprinkle in every month or every week, however you want to do it. But here's a list of the items that we recommend you tackle for 2024 to make it the best year you possibly can. And last but certainly not least, everybody looks forward to their birthday every year. Here is a list of important milestones once you've hit this in terms of birth dates. The one that we talked about earlier, which is really important, it's moved back a couple of times the last few years, is if you turn 73 this year, you are going to be required to take out a minimum distribution out of your tax-deferred accounts. This would include any IRAs or 401ks or 403bs. So something to be mindful of. If you're turning this particular milestone this year, here are some of the things to keep in mind for your birth date this year. Want to thank you again for joining us in this education series. Again, my name is Chris Rett. I'm a certified financial planner here at Modern Wealth. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. And don't forget to reach out and get a copy of your 2024 retirement planning calendar.